was saying it's equally important to listen than it is to speak. And so that's what I want us to focus on this month with the lessons that I've planned, and especially with this lesson today on active listening. So active listening, like it's said in the image here, is the process by which an individual secures information from another individual or group. So if I have something, I have knowledge, or I have an idea or something, the only way for you to get it is to listen actively when I speak. I can't download it directly into your brain. I can't, send it via Bluetooth to you. You have to listen to it and you have to absorb it and assimilate what I'm saying. It involves paying attention to the conversation, not interrupting, and taking the time to understand what the speaker is discussing. And so, what I wanted you guys to understand is that, sorry, is that there are really three basic listening models, right? And when people say that you need to listen, and I know I've said this before as well, and we'll see it in another lesson. There's the fourth lesson, which is 1,000 hours of listening time. Basically, what it says is that for you to really become comfortable with the language, you have to listen on average to 1,000 hours of someone or people speaking that language, so that it becomes natural for you, so that you grasp it, and so that you can start using it naturally. But not all types of listening are the same. And so with the three types of listening, the first one, which is competitive listening, is like when you're having an argument with someone, or you're in a debate or a discussion. You listen to what they're saying, you hear what they say, but really you have things to say as well. So you're only listening to the words that will allow you to bounce back, the words that will allow you to also say something back, to push your own agenda and push your own idea. That's competitive listening. So you're not listening to learn from the person, you're listening to sort of try and convince them and come back at them. Then we have passive listening, which is the opposite. Passive listening is basically what you're doing right now. You're paying attention, you're listening, you're not taking part in the conversation. So maybe when you're at church or when you're at school, someone is saying something, or you're watching TV, or you're watching a documentary, someone is explaining something, you're there to just hear and just listen. You're not participating, you're not responding, you're not saying anything back, you're just absorbing. With passive listening, you can learn a lot of vocabulary, you can learn a lot of words, you can learn how sentences are formed, etc. But it's not as effective as active listening. So when you're trying to learn a new language, and when you're trying to learn English in particular, the best way to do it is to practice active listening. And what is active listening? Is listening, but with the intention to take part in the conversation. You pay attention, but you also say something, you also make comments. You ask if you understood it correctly, you give feedback, you try to summarize, you try to be like, did I understand you? So if I heard you clearly, you said this. Or if I understand you properly, you mean this. So like you're really trying to take part in the conversation, but more so you're trying to understand what the other person is saying. So this type of listening requires you to be open-minded. It requires you to want to learn. It requires you to have patience. And I've also included here the 3 A's of active listening, with the first one being attitude. Like I was saying, you need to have the right attitude. You need to be open-minded and willing to learn in order to practice active listening. I feel like if you don't like the person who's speaking, it's going to be hard for you to listen to them actively. You're not really going to pay attention. And then the second one is attention. You need to pay attention. Obviously, you can't listen and do something else. So with passive listening, you can listen to a podcast, you can listen to the radio, and you living your own life. You're doing something else. You're not really focusing. But with active listening, you actually need to stop and pay attention. Pay attention to the details. If they're mentioning numbers, try to remember. And then it requires adjustments. So you need to adjust to the conversation, the flow of the conversation, how fast it's going, where it's going. You have to be present in that conversation for it to work. So ways to exercise active listening. You can listen to native speakers having authentic conversations. If you can, if you're in an environment where there are people speaking the language, or you can listen to podcasts, you can watch YouTube videos, you can watch TV, you can listen to the radio, things like that. But take the time to always summarize what you heard. If you can make notes, write down or remember important information, give feedback, ask questions if you can, and use non-listening activities like reading to boost your vocabulary. Because if you've read a word and you hear someone say it, it's easier to know what the word means, rather than if you hear something and you have no idea what they're talking about and you don't even know. Like if you have visual memory, it's going to be hard to just listen to things and not know how you write them or how these words look. All right, so now let's start from the beginning. We're going to first, so the exercise says that first we have to listen, and then the second time we listen and make notes. So since you've listened to it already, you can make notes now. So let's assume that this is the second time we're listening. Now we're making notes if we hear anything that sounds like it's important. Okay.
Love learning foreign languages. In fact, I love it so much that I like to learn a new language every 2 years, currently working on my 8th one. When people find out about me, they always ask me, how do you do that? What's your secret? And to be honest, for many years, my answer would be, I don't know, I simply love learning languages. But people were never happy with that answer. They wanted to know why they are spending years trying to learn even one language, never achieving fluency, and here I come, learning one language after another. They wanted to know the secret of polyglots, people who speak a lot of languages. And that made me wonder too, how do actually other polyglots do it? What do we have in common? And what is it that enables us to learn languages so much faster than other people? I decided to meet other people like me and find it out. The best place to meet a lot of polyglots is an event where hundreds of language lovers meet in one place to practice their languages. There's several of such polyglot events organized all around the world. And so I decided to go there and ask polyglots about the methods that they use. And so I met Benny from Ireland, who told me that his method is to start speaking from day one. He learns a few phrases from a travel phrase book and goes to meet native speakers and starts having conversations with them right away. He doesn't mind making even 200 mistakes a day, because that's how he learns, based on the feedback. And the best thing is, he doesn't even need to travel a lot today, because you can easily have conversations with native speakers from the comfort of your living room using websites.
Okay, so what is she talking about? Does one of you want to try and summarize, maybe in one sentence or two? What do you think she's talking about?
I think it's about how to learn a language, and secondly, she speaks of the, I don't know how to say it, how to learn a language quickly, and she takes an example with an event of polyglots that takes place everywhere in the world, but I don't recognize the name of this event.
Yeah.
I think it's about that. And the first solution to learn a language, I think the first solution is to go to native speakers and to just try to speak with them, and whatever you and not how to say that, I lost my words. Just go to native speakers and try to speak with them without considering the number of how to say fouls or errors, mistakes. Yeah, you can do fouls. It's for soccer, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, without considering the number of mistakes you can do.
Okay. Thank you, Dukata. Auriel, do you have something to add? Did you hear anything else that you feel like we need to mention? Did you?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. If I can add something,
Mm-hmm.
I understand that to learn English, to learn language, we should love this. It's more how to say facile. It's more easy to
Yeah.
learn when we love learn language.
Mm-hmm.
It's a push to go through to go and speak with native people and not not have fear to do mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
When we love to learn, we have to pass away these mistakes and start speaking for the first day, as he said.
Okay. I just want to say, I don't know if you can hear us, Beatrice. Welcome. She's a new member. She joined just today, so this is her first lesson. Welcome, Beatrice. I won't ask you questions today because I don't want you to panic, but I hope you can hear us. So, okay, thank you guys for summarizing. I had a question. Did you hear the first tip when she said that she went to an event and then she started asking polyglots? Do all of us know what polyglots mean? I think it's the same in French, right?
Yes, the same in French.
Okay, so she started asking polyglots, how do they do it? How do they learn 10 different languages in like 4 years? And then she met someone who gave her the first tip and said that he thinks that the best idea is to start speaking from day one. So before you learn the rules of grammar, the rules of vocabulary, whatever, before you read a book, he thinks you should just start speaking. And no matter how many mistakes you make, you just have to start. But did you catch who that person was? She gave the name of that person and she said where he's from. Did you hear that?
Yes, the guy is named Bernie.
Mm-hmm.
Bernie from Ireland.
Yes, that's very good. So the guy is called Benny from Ireland. So, just to add, I don't even think I have anything to add. You guys said it well, you summarized it well that so this woman who's doing the podcast, it takes her on average a year to 2 years to learn a language fully and be fluent in that language. And so she speaks more than 10 languages, and so she did the TED Talk to talk about tips on how to learn. She met so many people who gave her other tips as well. when I listen to the podcast, I'll send you guys the link to the podcast so you can maybe listen to the end. She said that there's someone else who he was trying to learn Russian, to speak Russian. He went to like a chat website for Russian people. You know, where like Russian people meet to speak. And then he started sending a message. So he'll send you a message and say hi. For example, I'm sending you, Dukaga, a message and I'm saying hi. When you respond, I take your response and I send it to Oriel. So you'll respond, hi, how are you? I copy that, send it to Oriel. And then Oriel will say, oh, I'm good. I just had a really long week. I take that answer again and send it to you. So in actual fact, you are speaking with Oriel. You're having a conversation with Oriel. I'm just in the middle, facilitating the conversation. But in the meantime, I'm learning the language through you guys. And so in that podcast, she was just saying that there are a lot of different ways in which you can learn. But the most important is what Oriel said, is that you need to love it. You have to really have that passion for the language, because if you really want to learn and you really love the language, then you'll find ways, whether it's listening to podcasts or talking to people or going on chat websites and things like that. And so that brings us pretty much to the end of today's lesson. What I want you to remember is that this is an exercise that you need to continue doing on your own. So with every piece of content that you come across, especially when it's audio or video, when someone is talking, don't just listen passively. Try to listen actively. Try to pay attention. Try to write down words. Try to remember. Try to, with everything you listen to, try to summarize it. Try to explain it to someone else. And I want to give you one more thing to do. It's not really an activity. It's something that we will continue doing. Is I want you to share the things that you learn or the things that you come across on the group. So if, let's say, you watched a video that was talking about something, just come and send us a message or a voice note, something that says, hi guys, so today just like I did, I came across this podcast and I thought it was really interesting. It talks about this and this and this, and then you share it with others. Not only will it help you pay attention, listen, remember the words that you listen to, but you will also be helping others, come across more content and find opportunities to learn.